When you think about the giant, the powerhouse of North America, you'll definitely think of the mighty United States. And it's obvious why the US comes to mind. It's the biggest in the continent in almost every aspect. Biggest economy, biggest population, biggest cultural influence, and biggest global presence. The US is the giant of North America. There's no denying that. But because of that, we often overlook some of the other big players on the continent. Mexico, sure, but the one we're going to talk about today is Canada. Second biggest in land area, one of the wealthiest economies in the world, and home to some of the most important trade routes on the planet. Canada is not a country you want to underestimate at all. And the main reason why Canada should be seen as one of the world's greatest powers comes down to one thing: geography. Canada has the kind of geography that can make it a global leader. In fact, I'd argue that Canada has some of the best geography in the world, even better than that of the US. So what makes it that good? Its size. Canada is massive. It's the second largest country in the world, covering 9.98 million square kilometers, 3.85 million square miles, almost as big as the entire continent of Europe. And it is incredibly well protected within its borders. To the west, it's got the vast Pacific Ocean, stretching for thousands of kilometers. To the east, the mighty Atlantic stands as an impenetrable shield. And to the north, the brutal, unforgiving Arctic, a frozen wasteland that no army in history has ever dared to cross. An invasion from the Arctic is practically impossible. The ice, the freezing temperatures, and the sheer remoteness make it a logistical nightmare for any military force. To the south, Canada shares the longest international land border in the world with the United States. But even though the border is open and peaceful today, geography still plays a role. Most of Canada's population is clustered along the southern belt. But beyond that, the country is vast, rugged, and largely uninhabited. Towering mountain ranges like the Rockies in the west, thick boreal forests in the center, and the sprawling Canadian Shield, a rocky, inhospitable landscape covering nearly half the country, create enormous natural obstacles. Trying to push through these regions is a challenge on its own. And then there are the rivers. Canada is home to some of the largest and most powerful river systems in the world, like the Mackenzie, the Fraser, the La Grande River, and the St. Lawrence Seaway, one of the most important trade routes on the planet. This 4,700-kilometer waterway connects the Great Lakes to the Atlantic Ocean, allowing ships to transport goods from major industrial hubs like Toronto, Montreal, and Hamilton directly to global markets. It's one of North America's most vital arteries for trade, handling 200 million metric tons of cargo annually and enabling Canada's deep integration into intercontinental commerce. Beyond trade, Canada's rivers are also a powerhouse. Literally. The La Grande River, located in northern Quebec, this river supports 9 major hydroelectric plants, including Canada's largest, the Robert Bourassa Generating Station, with a 5,616 megawatt capacity. Hydropower is the backbone of Canada's energy sector, producing 397.7 terawatt hours (TWh) in 2023, which accounts for 57.8% of the country's total electricity generation. Canada ranks third in the world in hydroelectric power production, just behind China and Brazil, outpacing even the United States, which ranked fourth with 262 terawatt hours in 2022. Now, if we move a little west, we reach Canada's breadbasket. I'm talking about the Canadian prairies. The prairies are a massive expanse of flat, fertile land stretching across Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba, covering nearly 1.8 million square kilometers, almost 1/5 of Canada's total land area. Canada is a global agriculture powerhouse, and the prairies are the heart of it. The most important crop? Wheat. In the 2024-25 season, Canada is expected to produce 34.96 million tons of wheat, ranking third globally behind Russia and the EU. Saskatchewan alone produces more wheat than many countries combined. But that's not all. The prairies are also the largest producer of canola on the planet, with 2024 reaching 17.8 million tons. Beyond wheat and canola, the region is rich in barley, lentils, and pulses, making Canada a top exporter of legumes to countries like India and China. Now, if we move further north, the landscape starts to change. The vast stretches of farmland give way to one of Canada's other geographic giants, the boreal forest. Canada is home to 35% of the world's boreal forests, making it one of the largest forestry hubs on the planet. The timber industry here is massive. Canada is the second largest wood exporter globally, supplying 25% of all softwood lumber import by the US. This industry isn't just vital for Canada's economy, but also for international trade, with wood products shipped worldwide. Looking at all this, Canada's economy is incredibly diverse. Fueled by its vast natural wealth, oil, natural gas, and minerals are at the core of what makes Canada an economic giant. Canada is one of the most resource-rich nations on Earth. The country is the fourth largest oil producer globally, behind only the US, Saudi Arabia, and Russia, producing 5.7 million barrels per day in 2024. It also holds the third largest proven oil reserves in the world, mostly concentrated in Alberta's oil sands. Canada supplies 60% of the US's total crude imports. But energy dominance doesn't stop at oil. Canada is also a natural gas giant, ranking as the fifth largest producer in the world. In 2024, it produced 18.1 billion cubic feet per day. And does not stop there. Canada is a top player in the global mining industry, producing some of the world's most valuable minerals. Potash, Canada is the #1 producer worldwide, with a market worth of $16.8 billion in 2022. Uranium, Canada is the second largest uranium holder in the world and supplies 22% of the global output. Gold. In 2021 alone, gold production in Canada was valued at $13.7 billion, with nearly half of it coming from Ontario. And perhaps most importantly, Canada is a rising global leader in critical minerals, which are essential for electric vehicle batteries, electronics, and clean energy. The government has identified 34 critical minerals, including lithium, cobalt, nickel, and rare earth metals that will shape the future of technology. In total, mining contributed $74.6 billion to Canada's GDP in 2024. And to top it all off, Canada is in a prime position for international trade. Its location between the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans makes it a key hub for global commerce. The Port of Vancouver, the largest in Canada, is a critical gateway for trade with Asia, handling hundreds of millions of tons of cargo annually. And to the south, Canada has a trade advantage no other country in the world can match. It shares a massive border with the United States. The world's largest economy, the US relies on Canada for essential resources, and this economic integration gives Canada a level of security and influence that few other nations have. But perhaps Canada's biggest hidden advantage? The Arctic. As the world warms and ice melts, the Northwest Passage, a shipping route that connects Asia to Europe, through Canada's Arctic waters is opening up. If fully developed, it could rival the Panama Canal as a major global trade route, cutting shipping times by thousands of kilometers. This would put Canada at the center of a new era of global commerce, further boosting its economic and strategic importance. With all these advantages, Canada is one of the wealthiest and most stable countries in the world. Its GDP is over $2.1 trillion, placing it in the top 10 global economies, and with a GDP per capita of $52,000. Canada's geography isn't just beautiful, it's a goldmine of opportunities. Oil, gas, minerals, hydropower, trade, and a new Arctic shipping route. It is everything needed to shape the future of global commerce. And while Canada is already a wealthy nation, the real question is, will it use its geography to its full advantage? The US has mastered this game, but can Canada catch up? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this, make sure to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the world's geography.